Before you click away, let me say this clearly. I'm not here to predict the end of the world. I'm not setting a date. I'm not saying 2026 is the final year of humanity. So breathe. But I am here to say something honest, something a lot of people feel but don't know how to put into words. Something is coming. You feel it. I feel it. The world feels like it's leaning forward, like it's holding its breath. And the crazy part is, the Bible talked about moments like this long before any of us were born. I remember being younger and thinking the future was supposed to feel exciting, like things would make more sense as time went on. Technology would fix things. Progress would calm us down. But instead, the faster everything moves, the more lost people seem. We're more connected than ever, yet loneliness is everywhere. We're louder than ever, yet no one feels heard. We're chasing comfort, but anxiety is at an all-time high. And at some point, you have to stop and ask yourself, why does it feel like the world is breaking while pretending everything is fine? Jesus once said something that always stuck with me. He said that before major turning points, people would be distracted. Eating, drinking, working, scrolling, living life like everything is normal, while missing what really matters. Not because they're evil, not because they're stupid, but because they're busy. Busy surviving. Busy chasing. Busy numbing themselves so they don't have to think too deeply. And that feels painfully accurate right now. Look around. People aren't just tired physically. They're tired spiritually. People don't argue about truth anymore. They argue about feelings. Everyone wants peace, but nobody wants discipline. Everyone wants purpose, but nobody wants surrender. And the Bible warned us about this mindset. Not a specific year, a season, a moment in history where people would be overstimulated, underrooted, and slowly drifting without realizing it. There's a verse where Jesus talks about birth pains, and I love that analogy because birth pains don't mean death. They mean something new is coming, but it won't come without pressure. Pain doesn't always mean something is wrong. Sometimes it means something is being formed. And when you look at the world right now, the tension, the confusion, the division, it doesn't feel like a random accident. It feels like pressure. Pressure exposes things. Pressure shows what was real and what was just comfortable. Pressure reveals whether your faith was built on convenience or conviction. And that's why years like 2026 feel different. Not because of the number itself, but because we're entering a season where pretending won't work anymore. You can't fake peace when everything around you is shaking. You can't borrow faith from your parents, your culture, or your childhood memories. At some point, belief becomes personal or it disappears. I think about how Jesus warned that love would grow cold. Not hatred growing louder, but love growing colder. That's subtle. That's scary. Because cold love doesn't look dramatic. It looks indifferent. It looks like scrolling past pain. It looks like saying, "That's not my problem." It looks like faith without compassion and compassion without truth. And if I'm being honest, that's one of the biggest dangers of the moment we're in. Not persecution, not collapse, but numbness. The world doesn't need more scared Christians. It doesn't need more angry Christians either. What it needs are awake ones. People who can stand calmly in chaos and say, "I know who I am. I know who God is. And I'm not panicking because my hope was never built on systems that can fail." Jesus never told people to obsess over dates. He told them to stay ready. And readiness isn't fear. Readiness is alignment. It's living in a way where if things change tomorrow, your soul isn't bankrupt. Your identity isn't shattered. Your peace isn't stolen. Ask yourself this honestly. If life got uncomfortable, would your faith survive? If distractions disappeared, would you still know how to pray? If comfort was stripped away, would you still trust God, or would you only trust Him when things are easy? Those aren't questions to shame you. They're invitations to grow. Because here's the hopeful part that people miss. Every time the Bible talks about shaking, it also talks about refining. God doesn't warn to scare. He warns to prepare. He warns because he loves. He warns because he knows what's coming, and he doesn't want you caught building your life on sand. Think about Noah. The warning wasn't punishment. The ark was mercy. Think about the Israelites. The wilderness wasn't abandonment. It was transformation. Think about Jesus himself. The cross looked like defeat, but it was the doorway to resurrection. So when we say something is coming, that doesn't automatically mean destruction. Sometimes it means decision. Sometimes it means separation. Sometimes it means the comfortable version of faith dies so the real one can finally live. And maybe 2026 is simply a mirror, a moment where people are forced to slow down and ask, what am I really living for? Who am I becoming? And if everything I rely on disappeared, would my relationship with God still stand? You don't need to fear the future. Fear fades when faith deepens. You don't need secret knowledge. You need rootedness. You don't need to predict the timeline. You need to prepare your heart. Jesus never said, figure out the date and you'll be safe. He said, follow me and you'll have life. Real life. Grounded life. Unshakable life. So if you're watching this and you feel uneasy, don't ignore that feeling. And don't panic either. Let it wake you up. Let it push you toward purpose. Let it drive you deeper, not into fear, but into truth. Because whatever comes in 2026, Jesus isn't surprised. He's not pacing heaven nervously. He's not confused by the chaos. He's steady. He's present. And he's calling people not to hide, but to rise. The question isn't what year we're entering. The real question is who you're becoming as we get there.